A very good evening to you. I am Pearson Bowen. A tremor of significant proportions shook Barbados' political landscape this morning. Former Prime Minister Owen Arthur brought an abrupt end to his association with the Barbados Labour Party. The St. Peter MP tendered his resignation with little fanfare. He will now serve out his term as an independent member of Parliament. Ryan Broom has the story.
The long-standing underlying tensions between former Prime Minister Owen Arthur and opposition leader Mayor Mottley came to a head today when Mr. Arthur tendered his resignation from the Barbados Labour Party. Over the years, Mr. Arthur and Ms. Mottley have differed privately and publicly about their leadership style and policy, and yesterday's march seems to have been the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. Speaking to the media moments after handing in his resignation to Office Secretary Rosemary Leon just after 11 o'clock, Mr. Arthur said he did not support Thursday's march, but it was not the sole reason for his decision. He also says that decision came after much thought, and while it is painful, it is also necessary.
I have agonized over this decision, as you can imagine. And, I don't take it lightly. As I said, if I could still be in this institution and serve it, I will be here. But I don't believe I can. And as I said, I do not want any efforts that I make just to be interpreted continuously as being a strife maker. I am too old for that. So that I have really, for the betterment of this institution and myself, to say goodbye to it. And today I do that.
He also reflected on his decision not to participate in yesterday's march.
And to have a march ostensibly to oppose a tax, when your proposal is even more absurd, would put me in the theater of the absurd. I don't want to be there. I'm resigning because I believe that the Labour Party has not only lost its way, but it has also lost its soul. The Barbados Labour Party must stand for something. It has always been able to operate in its own name, function in its own name, ask the public to support it in its own name, inspire the confidence of the public by functioning in its own name.
Beyond the march, Mr. Arthur was concerned about the current path of the party.
In addition to issues of policy, the Barbados Labour Party it would so appear that the Barbados Labour Party asked the public to support it in a march, not by saying, we will march, or we invite you to march, but I will walk. And it tells me that this institution has, in addition to other strong evidence, this institution has now been made a plaything and is in danger of becoming the victim of what we can only call megalomaniac tendencies.
Ryan Broom, CBC News.
And the leader of the BLP, Mayor Mottley, has expressed thanks to Mr. Arthur for his service to the party and, by extension, the country. She says Mr. Arthur served the country at a critical time before the end of the last century and is entitled to make decisions that he believes to be in his best interest. Ms. Mottley also thanked him for the opportunity to serve as his deputy.
He is entitled to make decisions that he believes to be in his best interests. As he rallies to the end of his parliamentary term and thereafter, we hope that he will continue to make himself available in the service of this country. Even though he will no longer be sitting as a member of this party, we hope that in the spirit of national cooperation, he will work with us on issues as he will with others, just as we will work with any member of the Barbadian society towards the restoration of hope. As I said in my letter yesterday to Prime Minister Stewart, these are extraordinary times, and extraordinary times require of us courage and extraordinary action. Our traditional politics will not help us navigate these turbulent waters.
And General Secretary of the BLP, Dr. Jerome Walcott, says Mr. Arthur's resignation is regrettable.
You have parliamentary groups and you have parliamentary group meetings, and the expectation is that people will come there and enter into discussion and have robust discussion when necessary in terms of policy. But I think at the end of the day, we all agree in terms of going forward in a democratic way and in terms of the opinions and in terms of decisions. So I appreciate his perspective. There might be differences of opinions, but and it is regretted that I regret that he felt that way. But as I have said earlier, the party has a proud history, 75-year history, and the party will continue its work of, building a better Barbados and securing a better life for the people of this country.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Frendel Stewart isn't surprised at Mr. Arthur's resignation from the BLP. Speaking to the CBC News, the Prime Minister said he was pleased Mr. Arthur had seen the light.
These things happen, and this is all part of the unfolding of human history. He carries with him my very best wishes, and I think what he has to say in Barbados is still of considerable value. You can't be a Prime Minister for as long as he has been Prime Minister, or was Prime Minister, and not have accumulated precious wisdom and valuable experience. And therefore, we are prepared to work with him on those matters on which we can agree.
Mr. Stewart said Mr. Arthur is not the first sitting St. Peter MP who has become disillusioned with the BLP.
Kenmore Nathaniel Royston Husbands, the sitting MP for St. Peter, had to resign from the Barbados Labour Party, and in fact he did something else. Having represented the Barbados Labour Party in the House since 1948, in 1969 he not only resigned from the Barbados Labour Party, but he resigned from the Barbados Labour Party and crossed the floor and joined the Democratic Labour Party and served in Earl Barrett's cabinet. So sooner or later, MPs of St. Peter get to realize that the Barbados Labour Party is not the place to be.
Finance Minister Chris Sinclair says he is disappointed but not surprised by Mr. Arthur's decision to resign.
That's a party matter or issue between them, and they will, they will deal with it. But after giving so much time and energy and life to really involved in the Labour Party and making it an acceptable in sight of a cross-section of Barbadians in the time when he was Prime Minister and leader of the country and leader of the party, to see it now become again a party dominated by fresh elements and special interests. I guess it's painful.
We do apologize for the quality of that insert. Well, as news of Mr. Arthur's resignation spread across the island, CBC sought to get the views of Barbadians on his decision.
I was thinking more in terms of Owen retiring from active politics and working more as a mentor with the members of the Parliament going forward the party. But as an independent, I'm not so sure about that. I guess he must have his reasons, but I'm a little surprised.
He has made a great contribution, and any views he have, although it might seem contrary to the party, he has a right to his views. If Charles Morris can make a view, right, his personal view, why can't a former Prime Minister make his personal view? Everything that he says is not contrary, although it might be contrary to what the party believes. He has the right to do that.
I think what Owen Arthur did was the right thing, and now we can see how the Barbados Labour Party will perform from here on in.
Instead of going independent, he should leave the Parliament altogether and go home. Don't enjoy taxpayer money for the next 4 years. That's the only thing. But he have made a good contribution to Barbados. He's in the history books already. Move on. Let somebody else come forward and make a stand. And I see nothing wrong with me. I'm in the party. I don't like what they're doing when she putting she up and licking she down. Let she get a chance.
It would be welcome at this time, and we should have more representatives for us to decide who we want to lead our country.
I'm glad that Owen Arthur is resigning, so to give me a chance to become the first female Prime Minister of Barbados.
The voice of the people. Well, joining us now live is CBC's political analyst Maureen Holder to examine this latest political development. Maureen, good evening to you.
Good evening, Pearson.
What's your take?
Well, first of all, I think Mr. Arthur has done the right thing. Clearly from the persons who would have given their opinion on the situation, most persons are blaming Arthur for the stability of the Barbados Labour Party, and clearly he has took a step back and said, well, look, if people are blaming me for all the problems within the party, why don't I just step aside and let Ms. Mottley remain in the leadership position without any possible finger pointing, without any possible accusations that I am the one who's responsible for it. So he has made the right decision, in my view.
Timing is everything. Why today, following yesterday's march?
You can call Mr. Arthur several things, but you can't call him a hypocrite person. I mean, Mr. Arthur is a very principled person, and he has taken the position that he cannot really function under Ms. Mottley's leadership. Certainly, he did not agree with the march. He took the decision that he would use an alternative perspective based on understanding what this tax is all about and what needs to be done being Prime Minister of this country for over 3 terms. And certainly it would be hypocritical of him to do otherwise. So therefore, I think the timing is perfect, and he has, as I said, he has done the right thing. He's given Ms. Mottley the space for that leadership, and if there are any further infractions in the party, certainly all eyes would be on the party itself rather than looking for a scapegoat.
What do you see to be his contribution, though, if he, as he says, sits as an independent within the House of Assembly?
Well, clearly he's still, you know, Pearson, I watched the opinions of the people, and I was rather disturbed. Mr. Arthur has served this country as Prime Minister for over 3 terms. He has experience, he's knowledgeable, he has the skill of governing. He understands what governing a country is all about. So to say that he should go home, to say that he should step aside, in my view, is a wrong philosophy to adopt. What happens to guidance? What happens to using our elders for guidance to you know, offer us the kind of support that we need? And I think Ms. Mottley really needs that kind of guidance at this point in time. No one man is an island. You can't run the ship as though you're the only captain. You have to be open to dissent. And if Mr. Arthur has shown that he doesn't always agree with certain strategies used by Ms. Mottley, he should be allowed to freely state this. But if the two can, you know, agree, therefore they should part company, and Mr. Arthur's done just that.
Let's quickly look at this within the look of the stability or not within the political party, the Barbados Labour Party. How do you see that now, knowing Mr. Arthur's move?
Well, you see, it's one thing to keep up a front. There's one thing to continue to put forward the charade as though all is well and we're united. And that is good. That's what the public wants. Because the public does not like the idea that the chances for the Barbados Labour Party to become the government are quickly eroding. They don't like the infighting. So what you do, you pull together and you gel together as though you're a united force. But that does not stop Mr. Arthur from sitting as independent and doing the best analysis, bringing the best ideas in terms of how far he can, you know, analyze it to the House. And the mere fact that she's asked him, you know, we want to work with you. You've heard Prime Minister Stewart indicated that he would work with him. So it shows me that Mr. Arthur has a lot to offer still, and they would need his guidance in Parliament.
An ongoing story to be followed. Thank you so much, Warren, for your
so.
perspective
You're
tonight.
welcome.
Well, more news ahead, but first, we want to hear from you now on this question. Do you agree with Owen Arthur's decision to resign from the BLP and sit as an independent? Text yes or no to short code 8111. Those results at the end of tonight's news.
Are you tired of the hustle of back-to-school shopping? Then take your child's book list to one of Bryden's 3 locations, and their friendly staff will readily find your textbooks and school supplies for you. Bryden's, the trusted name that means books plus stationery.
Girl, things are wrong with the finances. I got to buy school shoes for Kalisha. My birthday is next weekend, and I would like to have a real nice Sunday lunch. But I see that happening.
Wait. What happened to all the gold jewelry you be dressed down in? You don't wear them no more?
Girl, I just ain't into nothing so no more.
Well, then I got the answer for you. Barbados Gold Buyers.
Call us now at 437-2274 or 836-2274 or check us online at barbadosgoldbuyers.com. Barbados Gold Buyers, it's money in the bank.
Meet Al Colado. He's been around here for over 50 years, and he is one cool penguin. And this is Joe Cool. Now he's just landed here, and he is cooking.
Man, how did you survive 50 years of this heat?
Well, I'll tell you, son. All these years, I've been using
Al Colado Glacial, the methylated splash lotion that's cool and refreshing.
Now that's cool. You cool?
Yeah, I'm cool.
Me too. Hey, maybe we're related.
Prime Minister Stewart says when he visited the home of Andrea and Charles Ince months, Prime Minister Stewart says
Prime Minister Frendel Stewart says government is doing all that it can to tackle poverty in Barbados. He was speaking today at the presentation of a new home to a Tamarin Road St. Michael family that was living in squalor for a number of years.
Andrea and Charles Ince months ago, he could not believe the horrible conditions under which the family was living.
I cannot attempt to describe what I saw. And I had been in this area to hand over another house built by the Urban Development Commission to another resident of the area. And having seen the conditions under which the Ince family was living, I gave immediate instructions that something had to be done about it.
Prime Minister Stewart commended the Urban Development Commission for constructing the 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house.
Floors of pitch pine, the exterior done with what I'm told is placem, a finish that is fire resistant, but at the same time is very pleasing to the eye. So the Ince family have an excellent dwelling and can now begin to live life.
The Prime Minister promised that government will continue to do all it can to touch and heal as many lives as possible.
We are functioning in very difficult circumstances. The Urban Development Commission is functioning under constraints that have resulted from the fact that the country has been going through its own challenges. But within those constraints, within the context of those constraints, it continues to do its best.
And the residents are pleased with the help they have received.
That's a report from Sean Farrell, and Prime Minister Stewart says Barbados remains one of the leading developing nations in the Caribbean, despite its downward movement on the United Nations Development Programme's 2014 Human Development Report. That report places Barbados at 59 out of 180 countries. The island's rating last year was 38, but according to the UNDP, the current report is based on a completely different set of information than that for the previous 5 years. The Prime Minister says Barbados will fight to ensure it arrests pockets of poverty and build on its strengths to make this country one of the most progressive small island developing economies in the world.
The only Caribbean country ahead of us is the Bahamas. We are ahead of Trinidad and Tobago, ahead of Jamaica, ahead of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, all the others. Guyana, I think, is at the very lowest in the English-speaking Caribbean. So we are not to feel embarrassed by the fact that we've moved a little. As I said, some of the assessment indices were modified, and the information that was used for this report is 2011 information as against 2005 for the previous reports.
Well, the Prime Minister noted that many countries, along with Barbados, have moved some upwards and some downwards.